Now, looking at matters back home, delegates at the ANC's Mangaung conference have been nominated. Candidates for the party's top 5 leadership structure. Mbali Thethani is in the Free State and joins us now. Mbali, of course, the process has moved forward. Nominations done and dusted for the region. What's the situation as we speak?
That's right, Mpho. Of course, we've just seen those nominations take place, and the nominations quite interesting, largely coming from the floor. And it was very also interesting to learn, Mpho, is that while the nominations were being taken from the floor of conference, there seems to be an issue with the nominations which were done prior this conference, and it turns out that that envelope with those names was not able to make its way to this conference, forcing delegates then to then officially nominate those members from the floor. It's understood that the person who has access to that envelope, which has been approved by the region, is not attending this conference, and one would say is actually attending the other parallel conference which is currently taking place. But we now know that for this conference we've had the top 5 being nominated, and we know that Lawrence Mate has come back in the position of chairperson. He has been nominated uncontested, as well as Sabelo Pitso for secretary. We have Lula Matiti for deputy secretary, and Sipho Mnembe for the position of treasurer. So these 4 names, Mpho, have been nominated uncontested, but the position of a deputy chairperson is the only position where delegates will now go and break off and have to vote via ballot. And those names are Mantusi Litawana as well as Vusi Sotaka. But just to bring us up to speed with the kind of very interesting position that this conference finds itself, where all names were taken from the floor, we are joined by Saki Mukwena. He is a member from the province's IPC. Saki, we've now officially moved, but there seemed to be a number of glitches for the process of having those nominations. We understand that the envelope with those names could not make it to this conference.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to you and your viewers. We are quite happy as the IPC in the Free State, particularly the delegation that is here, that the conference is in session. It started yesterday, dealt with all the reports and the credentials, and today we dealt with the plenary discussions of the reports, the preparations for the national conference, as well as the elections of the leadership. Coming to the issue raised, the issue of the nomination of the regional leadership, that is the responsibility of the regional leadership. The custodians of the forms basically is the regional leadership. What appears to have happened is that because as a Free State we are going to the provincial conference, the regional conference and the national conference at the same time, comrades at the level of the branches here in Mangaung will have put together those nominations in different envelopes but inside one big envelope. That's how they got to be trapped with the process of consolidating the national scenario. Now, the matter was placed to conference because it is the highest decision-making body, the regional conference itself, to decide based on the delegates who carries the mandate of the branches, because they know who their branches will have nominated. And the conference unanimously, 90% and above, resolved to continue with the process of consolidating nominations from the floor. And the leadership is as per the comment you made about those who are uncontested and those who are contested. So we are quite happy as the leadership of the province. We would have loved to see the envelopes, but we knew that that process was going to be subjected to plenary, and for plenary to really take decisions on adding further names, but the eventual arbiter, those who elect, it is a conference itself, and the conference exercises that power as provided for in the rules in terms of the ANC.
Does that not also jeopardize this conference should the other group or the other faction take this conference to court, saying that the issues of the envelopes were outstanding for this conference?
Look, the ANC is a very unique and interesting organization. there are different views that exist. But we all know that you can be nominated at the level of the branch, and that nomination has got to be tabled at the level of conference, which is the one that takes decisions. Anybody who is a member of the ANC, who understands and knows the ANC for what it is, knows the processes that are provided for in terms of raising queries internally, and they know that at what point can they now be able to approach the legal space to test their view. We are a legal persona as the ANC, and we'll be very much open and ready to go and defend when such processes arose, but we are really not worried. What you must understand in the Free State is that the process of renewal and rebuilding, we come from a very difficult past. And we knew that the process of renewal, it is going to be disruptive to something that is problematic and sought to kill the ANC. And the tendency that thought it is benefiting from that will do everything in its power to try to fight back. But we are determined, we are happy that this is the first time, after many years, where you see a conference of the ANC will sit and deliberate for 2 days before even it talks about leadership. No longer conferences of a couple hours and people are elected. We mean business when we say we are rebuilding the African National Congress, and we think we are surging ahead.
When it comes to the nominations, which we just saw, 6 people being nominated, 1 position, it has 2 contenders. What does it say when we see at least 4 of these members being uncontested, especially at a time where we are continuing to see the issues of slates? Would one say that the numbers here seem to be consolidated?
Look, in this conference, there's no politics of slate. It is democracy at play. It is the new African National Congress being born, where delegates of the ANC exercise their choice based on the mandate assigned to them at their own BPGMs. And I can tell you what you see here, it necessarily reflects what is a nomination on the ground. And it is a conference that is united, speaking in unison. And the issue of preference on leadership is neither here nor there. We don't have a divided conference. We've got a united conference of the African National Congress. And we're elated. One thing we're certain about, the rebuilding of the ANC, the Free State, is in motion. And it is unstoppable.
All right, thank you very much. That is Saki Mukwena from the IPC saying that the names in which we have seen, which have been nominated, 4 of them being uncontested, and I might add them for as well, that those names which have been brought forward, these are the same names that formed part of the province's interim, or rather this region's interim regional committee. So those names have now made their way back to this region. At the same time, very close allies of the province's convener, Nkolisi Dukwana, who also will be looking at clinching that position of provincial chairperson when this province finally goes to its elective conference.
Very well, Mbali Thethani. Let's leave it there for now.